So, discontent with just having a monopoly on the American imagination by owning every last piece of intellectual property, Disney has also decided to own the country's physical property as well. As they recently announced online, Disney is proud to introduce Story Living, a picturesque Disney city built in the middle of the California desert in an attempt to manage not just the vacation experience, but the living one as well. And so with that in mind, my question for you is, are the people who choose to live in the Disney storytelling community oblivious to the state of the world, or have they just decided to give in and take the Mickey pill?
They're completely oblivious and stupid.
No. You need no.
Fight.
First of all, there's already a Disney town. It's called Celebration, and it's existed for a really long time. And it's right outside of Orlando, and it's been there since I was a kid. And you know that already.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
the one I read into, the one that you're talking about now, and it's a retirement community. It's a 55. Well, part of it, at least.
Some of it is, yeah.
If you look at their website, they're really billing it as a 55 plus. And those people are fucking delusional anyways and already outside of like the reality of things. My grandma lives in an old people town here, and they have no concept of what is going on. So that is more of like a question of, are old people fucking ridiculous and living in their own bubble, or is Disney, or does this have anything to do with Disney?
I was going to say, Richard, I mean, you got to admit, like, you know that there are people reading about this, like, in art, like our age. Like, there are fucking people with like Mickey Mouse tattoos, like the mouse outline.
You're right.
That can't wait to fucking until they open one of these goddamn communities next door, and they'll be like first in line, like they're buying a goddamn, iPhone.
Right.
I mean, that's fair.
But like, how much is too much, Disney? And I say that sarcastically because it is too much.
This is like, I think this might be where my fucking line is. Like, actually building like an entire Disney town. Like, this is the plot of Westworld. Like, what is this
any different from like, okay, so because the Disney name is like fucking stamped on this, they're selling sort of like this dream, this facade, this whatever it may be, that already exists when they build luxury apartments right next to really poor areas that have big signs on the outside of all these great amenities that happen inside, and your life is amazing because you buy this.
Because like that doesn't have the peripheral past of like my childhood and the cartoons and the stories. Like that's just in those circumstances, to Emil's point, like not only like is it a community that detaches itself and controls everything, in this case, it's literally an international media conglomerate that not only will now be the owners of your literal living space, but also the food you eat, the news that you absorb, all of your media, like all of your TV, all of your radio, like literally everything. Like they will be a soup to nuts life management company. Like that aspect of it feels a little bit more dystopian than I think, a traditional.
I feel like now that you're explaining it like that, it sounds a little bit like North Korea.
Doesn't it though?
The food.
This just in. Minnie Mouse has another grandchild. Like, it's like too much.
So they even say it in their own words. They say, so the intention of this, as we prepare to enter our second century, we are developing new and exciting ways to bring the magic of Disney to people wherever they are, expanding storytelling to story living. We can't wait to welcome residents to these beautiful and unique Disney communities where they can live their lives to the fullest. So the idea here, and they say it like storytelling, if you use that as a metaphor for like news and media, they're literally changing that to story living. So they will be the owners of your life. I mean, straight up, like they will not only control the narrative, they will control the literal home that you live in.
Actually, I take all this back. This is great because then you can put all the Disney crazy people in one space.
I do like that idea.
And then that's it. That's it. I think that's yeah. No, good job.
You know what though? When you boil this all down, like these companies, like being a person who like works in like market research and all this kind of thing, when you boil this down, these big companies have large teams that investigate and research all of this stuff before they decide to put millions in it. And the fact that this is a sellable idea, to me seems really sad. Like to escape, to want to fully escape your life and be waited on by the characters or the cast members that Disney has, and to, having them create your whole narrative and your whole life. This is something that they've already done tons and tons of research on, that people actually really want, or else they wouldn't have done it. And that to me seems really sad, because that just is another indication that our life and our society and our world is not good, and they want to escape into fairyland.
They should just do drugs. Just do drugs. That's so much.
Great solution, Emil. I think so. Here's the thing that like freaks me out the most. Like, I think this is the the apex, like the zenith of what happens when like corporations are like unchecked by like government power, and by government power I mean like representative democracy, right? Like when companies are just allowed to like amass like vast reaches of fucking influence, you've created this like very effective cradle to grave like consumer loyalty program, where it's like your childhood memories are essentially fucking formed by Disney, and you have like these sort of like Kleinian like object relationship with these things, where like you associate good feelings with this fucking company that like teaches you the difference between right and wrong, and like guides you through your life to the extent that like, I don't know, they're probably going to have fucking like Disney universities and like, Disney
Church.
They
Disney
actually already have Disney school curriculum. That's already a thing.
Fuck my life. Well, but like, and this is the thing that freaks me out most, is like when I read about this program too, is like they pitch it as like, oh, like you'll be able to, enjoy dinner at the Disney themed restaurant, and then you'll be able to go to an art show featuring galleries by Disney sanctioned artists. So it's like literally like everything that enters this town had to have gone through like the fucking Disney checklist. So it's just like, just like in a fucking Disney movie, you can't see any characters smoking. Like your entire life is going to be manicured to the extent that, like Emil had joked about, like the news is going to be like what fucking Huey, Dewey, and Louie Duck did that day. Like you're not going to know anything that's going on in the outside world. Like you're just going to be surrendering your free will to this fucking corporation for the extent of like, I mean, like this is
We're very much talking about North Korea. I'm sorry.
It's
the whole thing.
But that's the question, though. That's the question at the top. Like, are these people oblivious, or is this like a conscious effort? Like, are they being mass controlled, or are they like, fuck it, dude, the climate apocalypse is here. I'm going to go live on a man-made lake in the fucking desert, all like brought to you by Disney. Like, is it intentional?
I don't know, but it's really sad.
That's a hard question. Dude, I want to say yes. See, I want to say yes.
My thought here is that this is like a group of people who have childhood arrested development, who had some kind of traumatic experience as children associated with Disney. And this is like effectively like a group therapy facility where all the people who were fucked up as kids can go share their trauma together.
Yeah, but you also have to remember, these people have to be hitting a certain socioeconomic status to be living within the Disney community. So while you're talking about that aspect of it, like it is also created for a certain demographic of people. So not only is it fully Disney, but you can imagine it also might be fully filled with a very certain demographic.
Yeah, rich people.
So it's even more like sort of like a vacuum.
The thing I love about it is about this fucking town is like it's essentially a town that's going to be run by Disney in the middle of the desert. So I love the idea that there's some sort of like Disney infrastructure hack, and like the people in this desert community like don't receive supplies, and like their cars are all like Disney cars, and they're fucking like remote controlled by like within the Disney community, and they don't work like when you get a certain radius outside of the desert city. So you're just like all these people like crawling through the desert like trying to get rations, just like the climate apocalypse bears upon us.
I don't know if I understand, like, maybe because I'm not a part of that Disney culture, but like, what is it about Disney that makes you want to be in that world? Like, I don't
trauma.
Get that.
Escapism from, from whatever it may be. Like Shay said, trauma, It could be like it's all about escapism. I think about like when we were actually kids and like the Disney movies that were coming out when we were kids. A lot of the storylines centered around escaping anyways. Escapism, becoming something different, trauma that the characters had, lots of times parents die, kids go through, it's like it's all about escapism, which is what moving to the middle of the desert. Who wants to fucking live in the middle of the desert? I mean, there you go. It's following the thread of like escaping reality and living in some sort of fantasy vacuum of happiness and,
I think, and honestly, I think to kind of piggyback on Rachel's point too, I think that like in an Aristotelian sense, there's like a real sense of catharsis in the Disney universe. Like the Disney universe is a universe in which justice exists. Like you never watch any of these, be like, the bad guy always gets his comeuppance at the end of the movie. And like, that's a very like that's a very emotionally satisfying feeling, especially when you live in a country where like the bad guys routinely, get away with everything. So it's like, it makes sense that like you would want, I don't know, like your real life to be reflective of that fucking, cartoon ideology.
The irony here is just that the bad guys here are the ones brainwashing those very same people into a fucking desert community where they will be their fucking lords. That's the fucking truth.
As a black guy watching Tarzan, I did not identify with that. That was not a comeuppance for me. That just was
guys. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm bored. I'm ending the show. Thanks so much for being here. We had a great time, everyone. Go home. Drive safe.